What if the person who destroyed your life 15 years ago showed up at your front door, not to apologize, but to collect? What if she was now one of the most powerful women in the country, and you were just a tired single father, trying to make ends meet, with a 7-year-old daughter who still asked why mommy never came back? This is the story of Dale Harmon, and the woman he never thought he'd see again. Her name was Celeste Pruitt, and she didn't come with flowers. She came with a folder. Stay with me, because by the time this story is over, nothing you think you know about who owes who will feel the same. It was a Tuesday evening in late October, in a small town called Ridgefield, Pennsylvania. The kind of town where everyone knows your truck, knows your order at the diner on 5th, and knows, without you ever saying a word, that you're carrying something heavy. Dale Harmon was 38 years old. He had calloused hands from 12-hour shifts at the Ridgefield Freight Company, a small 2-bedroom house on Birchwood Lane, and a daughter named Lily. Lily was 7. She had her father's brown eyes and her mother's stubbornness, which, depending on the day, was either the most beautiful or the most exhausting thing about her. Dale's day had gone the way most of his days went. He woke up at 5:15, packed Lily's lunch, peanut butter, no jelly, apple slices, a juice box, dropped her at school by 7:30, clocked in at the freight dock by 8, and spent the next 10 hours loading and unloading 18-wheelers in the Pennsylvania cold. By 6 p.m., he had picked Lily up from his neighbor Ruth's house, heated up leftover chicken soup, helped Lily with her second-grade spelling words, and was sitting on the couch in his socks, watching the tail end of the local news, when the knock came. 3 knocks. Firm. Confident. The kind of knock that doesn't ask permission. Dale frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone. He muted the TV and walked to the door. He opened it, and for a full 3 seconds, he forgot how to breathe. Standing on his porch, in a charcoal gray wool coat that probably cost more than his monthly rent, holding a leather portfolio under one arm, with her hair pulled back in a clean, severe bun, was Celeste Pruitt, the woman who had left him, the woman who had disappeared 15 years ago, without a note, without a call, without a single word of explanation. The woman who was, according to every financial magazine Dale had never read, the CEO of Pruitt Capital Group, one of the fastest-growing private equity firms on the East Coast. Dale stared at her. She stared back. And then, she spoke. "Hello, Dale." Her voice hadn't changed. Still smooth. Still measured. Still the kind of voice that made you feel like whatever she was about to say had already been decided. Dale's jaw tightened. "Celeste. What are you doing here?" She tilted her head slightly. "May I come in?" "No," he said. "You may not." A flicker crossed her face. Not quite surprise. More like recalibration. "Dale." She held up the portfolio. "This is important." "The last time something was important to you," he said quietly, "you were gone by morning." The silence between them was thick enough to choke on. And that is where our story truly begins. To understand what Celeste Pruitt showing up on Dale Harmon's porch meant, you have to go back. Back 15 years. Back to when they were both 23 years old. And the world still felt like something they could shape with their own hands. Dale and Celeste had met in college. University of Pittsburgh. He was studying business logistics. She was studying finance. They were assigned to the same group project in their junior year, a mock investment strategy for a class called Corporate Foundations. Dale remembered that first meeting clearly. He'd walked in late. Celeste was already at the table, highlighter in hand, 3 pages of notes spread out in front of her. She hadn't looked up when he sat down. She just slid a copy of the assignment brief across the table and said, You're 8 minutes late. We're on section 2. Try to keep up. He should have been annoyed. Instead, he was fascinated. They were opposites in almost every way. Dale was from Ridgefield, a blue-collar kid who'd gotten a partial scholarship and worked weekends at a hardware store to cover the rest. Celeste was from Westport, Connecticut, the daughter of a retired investment banker. Raised in a world where ambition wasn't encouraged. It was expected. But something between them clicked. Not immediately. Not easily. But the way two very different puzzle pieces sometimes find each other and realize they belong side by side. By their senior year, they were inseparable. They stayed up late building business plans for fun. They argued about risk versus stability. Celeste dreamed of building an empire. Dale dreamed of something quieter, a good business, a good life, a family. She thought his dreams were small. He thought hers were terrifying. But they loved each other. The way young people love, completely recklessly, without thinking too far ahead. After graduation, they got an apartment together in Pittsburgh. Celeste landed an analyst position at a mid-size investment firm downtown. Dale started working at a logistics company, learning the operations side of freight and distribution. They talked about the future constantly. About building something together. About getting married someday. About kids. Celeste would get quiet when the topic of kids came up. Dale noticed, but never pushed. Then, 6 months after graduation, Celeste told him she was pregnant. Dale's reaction was immediate. He held her face in his hands and told her he was the happiest man alive. He meant every word. Celeste smiled. But it didn't reach her eyes. The next 8 months were strange. Not bad, but strange. Celeste worked longer hours. Stayed quieter. Seemed to be calculating something Dale couldn't see. He told himself it was nerves. That she'd come around. That once the baby arrived, everything would fall into place. Their daughter was born on a Thursday in March. They named her Lily. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. 10 fingers. 10 toes. The most perfect thing Dale had ever seen in his life. Celeste looked at Lily for a long time after the birth. She held her. She didn't cry. She just looked. Dale didn't know what to make of it. The nurses said some mothers take time to bond. He believed them. He had no reason not to. Celeste came home from the hospital. She seemed okay. Tired, like any new mother. But okay. 3 weeks later, Dale woke up at 5 a.m. to Lily crying. He reached across the bed for Celeste. The sheets were cold. He got up. Fed Lily. Checked the bathroom. Checked the living room. Checked the kitchen. Celeste's coat was gone. Her overnight bag was gone. Her laptop was gone. Her phone was turned off. And on the kitchen counter, there was no note. No explanation. Nothing. Just gone. Dale stood in that kitchen with a 3-week-old baby on his shoulder. And the only sound in the apartment was Lily's soft breathing against his neck. He called Celeste's number 17 times that day. Straight to voicemail every time. He called her mother in Westport. Her mother told him in a clipped, uncomfortable voice that Celeste had made a decision and that it was best for everyone. Dale asked what that meant. The line went quiet. Then her mother said, "She left some money in an account for the baby. You'll receive the information by mail." 3 days later, an envelope arrived. Inside was a bank routing number and a balance notification for $15,000. No letter. No return address. $15,000. For a child she had carried for 9 months. For a man she had said she loved. Dale stared at that paper for a long time. Then he folded it up. Put it in a drawer. And never touched that account. Not once. In 15 years. He filed for sole custody 6 months later. Celeste didn't contest it. She didn't show up. She didn't respond. She simply wasn't there. And Dale Harmon raised his daughter alone. He moved back to Ridgefield, closer to his parents. He worked. He saved. He built a life, small and imperfect and real. He watched Lily take her first steps. He held her when she cried on the first day of kindergarten. He sat through every school play, every soccer game, every parent-teacher conference. He became, by every measure that mattered, the only parent Lily Harmon had ever known. And Celeste Pruitt became someone else entirely. Over those 15 years, she climbed. She left Pittsburgh and went to New York, then to Boston. Then founded Pruitt Capital Group at the age of 31. By 35, Forbes had featured her in their Women Reshaping Finance list. By 38, Pruitt Capital managed over $4 billion in assets. She gave speeches about bold decisions and calculated risks. She was photographed at galas and investor summits. She was, by every visible measure, a woman who had everything. Except one thing. But we'll get to that. Because right now, she was standing on Dale Harmon's porch in Ridgefield, Pennsylvania, with a portfolio under her arm, and something in her eyes that looked almost like desperation. And Dale was the last person on earth who was going to make this easy for her. "I'm not going inside with you," Dale said. He stepped out onto the porch and pulled the door mostly closed behind him. Inside, Lily was finishing her homework at the kitchen table. He didn't want her hearing this. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Celeste glanced at the door, then back at him. "She's here." "She lives here," Dale said flatly. "This is her home." Celeste pressed her lips together. "Okay." She exhaled slowly. "Then I'll be quick." She opened the portfolio. Pulled out a document, crisp, clean, printed on heavy stock. She held it out to him. Dale didn't take it. "What is that?" "A legal summary," she said, "of a financial matter that I need to resolve." Dale looked at the paper without touching it. "A financial matter?" "Yes." "You drove from wherever you came from to my door on a Tuesday night to talk to me about a financial matter." "I flew," she said, "from Boston." Dale let out a long, slow breath through his nose. "Celeste." His voice was dangerously quiet. "The last time I checked, I don't owe you a dime. And you don't owe me anything either, since you made it pretty clear what my family was worth to you." Something shifted in her expression. Just barely. Like a crack in very expensive glass. "That money. Don't." His voice cut through the air like a blade. "Don't bring up the money. Dale." "I didn't touch it," he said. "Not $1. I want you to know that. Whatever point you think that was supposed to make, it didn't make it. I put Lily through life on my own. I didn't need your $15,000, and I don't need whatever's in that folder." Celeste was quiet for a moment. And then she said something he wasn't expecting. "I know." He blinked. "What?" "I know you didn't touch the account," she said. "I've been checking. Periodically." Dale stared at her. The porch light buzzed softly above them. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. "You've been checking," he repeated slowly. "Yes. For 15 years. Yes." Dale turned away. Looked at the dark street. Breathed. When he turned back, his eyes were different. Not warmer. Harder. "Why are you here, Celeste?" "The real reason." She lowered the portfolio to her side. And for the first time since she'd knocked on that door, she looked like a person instead of a board presentation. "I need something from you," she said. "Of course you do." "It's not," she stopped. Composed herself. "It's not what you think. You don't know what I think." You think I'm here to manipulate you, aren't you? She met his gaze. I'm here because I made a mistake 15 years ago. And that mistake has a consequence I didn't anticipate. And that consequence involves you. Dale crossed his arms. Talk. Celeste opened the portfolio again. This time, she turned it around so he could read the document from where he stood. He looked at it. Read the header. Then read it again. His expression didn't change. But something behind his eyes did. This is a medical document, he said. Yes. It has Lily's name on it. Yes. Celeste. His voice had gone very quiet. What is this? She closed her eyes for 1 second. Then opened them. 6 months ago, she said, I was diagnosed with a hereditary cardiac condition. A genetic mutation. It's manageable, for me, with medication and monitoring. But it carries a risk for biological children. Dale's heart was doing something slow and cold in his chest. What kind of risk? The mutation can cause arrhythmia. In rare cases, particularly in children who inherit both copies, it can lead to sudden cardiac events. She handed him the document. This time, he took it. Lily is 7, she said. The window for early screening and preventive treatment it's now. If she has the mutation, there are interventions. Medication. A monitoring device. She would live a completely normal life. But she needs to be tested. And she needs to be tested soon. The document shook slightly in Dale's hands. Not because he was angry. Because his hands were trembling. Why didn't you just? He stopped. Started again. Why didn't you contact her pediatrician? Send a letter? Why did you have to come here? Because the screening requires parental authorization, Celeste said. From both biological parents. And she paused. I have no legal standing with her, Dale. I gave that up. The only way this happens is if you agree. And if you agree, I need to be there for the medical team to complete the genetic trace. Dale looked at the paper in his hands. Then looked at the closed door. Behind it, his daughter was doing her spelling homework. She was probably mouthing the letters to herself the way she always did. Spelling. 7 years old. If you just come to me about Lily's health, he said slowly, I would have picked up the phone. He looked up at her. You didn't need the portfolio. You didn't need the power suit. You just could have called me, Celeste. Her jaw tightened. I wasn't sure you'd answer. You weren't sure I'd answer, he repeated. No. For my daughter's health. She didn't respond. Because there was no good answer. And they both knew it. Dale did not invite Celeste inside that night. He told her to get a room at the Ridgefield Inn on Route 9. He told her he'd call her in the morning. He told her nothing else. He went back inside. Lily was standing in the kitchen doorway in her socks and her favorite sweater, the yellow one with the small embroidered flowers along the collar. Daddy, who was that? Dale crouched down to her level. He looked at her face for a long moment. Brown eyes. His eyes. Her mother's cheekbones. This child he had made out of thin air and sheer stubbornness. Just someone from a long time ago, Bug, he said. Did they need something? Yeah. But nothing you need to worry about right now. Lily studied him with the unsettling accuracy of children. You look sad, Daddy. I'm fine, he said. She tilted her head. You look sad but pretending fine. Dale pulled her into a hug. Held her for an extra second. Let's finish those spelling words, he said. After Lily was in bed. Dale sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee gone cold, and the medical document in front of him. He'd read it 3 more times. He wasn't a doctor, but the language was clinical and specific. He'd done enough searching on his phone to know that what Celeste described was real. Hereditary long QT syndrome, a condition affecting the heart's electrical system. Detectable. Manageable. But only if you caught it. He thought about the last time Lily had complained about her heart racing. 3 months ago, at soccer practice. The coach had noticed her sitting on the sideline, hands pressed to her chest. Dale had taken her to the pediatrician. The doctor said it was probably just exertion. Told him to monitor it. They'd monitored it. It hadn't happened again. He stared at the ceiling. Then he picked up his phone. He called his mother. Sandra Harmon, 62, retired school librarian. She answered on the second ring the way she always did, as if she'd been waiting. Dale. It's almost 10. Everything okay? No, he said. He told her everything. His mother was quiet through all of it. When he finished, the line was still for a long moment. Then she said, "How does Lily seem? Health-wise?" "Fine," he said. "She's fine. But that thing at soccer practice." "I remember." Another silence. "You already know what you have to do," his mother said. "I know. Then why are you calling me?" "Because I'm angry," he said. "And I needed to say it out loud to someone before I have to be the bigger person." Sandra Harmon exhaled softly. "She left a 3-week-old baby, Dale." "I know. And she shows up 15 years later with a folder." "I know. And you're still going to do whatever it takes to make sure Lily is healthy." "Yeah. Because that's who you are," his mother said. "Get some sleep," she told him. "Call the woman in the morning. Do it for Lily. Not for her. For Lily." Dale nodded, though his mother couldn't see it. "Love you, Mom." "Love you, son." He hung up. Sat in the quiet of his house. Listened to the sound of Lily sleeping down the hall. That soft, rhythmic breathing. 7 years old. The whole of his world, contained in that sound. He picked up his phone. He texted the number Celeste had written on the back of her business card. *Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. Monday morning. I'll set the appointment. You'll be there as her biological parent for the testing only. We will discuss nothing else until Lily's results are confirmed. Don't come back to the house. Her reply came within seconds. Understood. Thank you, Dale. He stared at those 3 words for a long time, then put the phone face down on the table, and sat alone in his quiet house, with the weight of 15 years pressing down on him like a second gravity. The appointment was on a Monday. Dale took the day off work, a shift he couldn't really afford to miss, but what choice was there? He told Lily they were going to the doctor for a special heart checkup. She asked if it was going to hurt. He said probably not. She asked if she'd get a sticker at the end. He said absolutely yes. He did not tell her who else would be there. He wasn't ready for that conversation. He wasn't sure he'd ever be ready. The pediatric cardiology suite at Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh was on the 4th floor. Clean. Bright. Walls painted in soft yellows and greens to soften what was, ultimately, a place where parents came with fear in their stomachs. Dale signed in at the desk. He and Lily sat in the waiting area. Lily was coloring a worksheet the receptionist had given her. At 8:57, the elevator doors opened, and Celeste Pruitt walked out. She was dressed differently from the night on the porch. No power suit. No leather portfolio. Doc jeans. A simple cream-colored blouse. Hair down. She looked smaller somehow. Like the building she'd constructed around herself required a certain setting to hold its shape. Dale stood up. Lily looked up from her coloring sheet. Celeste stopped about 10 feet away and looked at Lily. Lily looked back with the frank, fearless assessment of a 7-year-old who has not yet learned to look away from things that matter. "Hi," Lily said. Celeste's expression did something complicated. "Hi," she said. Lily looked at her for another beat, then looked at her father. "Is she the person from a long time ago?" Dale put a hand on her shoulder. "Yeah, bug. She is." Lily considered this with great seriousness, then went back to coloring. Dale met Celeste's eyes over the top of Lily's head. She looked like she'd just had the wind knocked out of her. "Good," said some part of him. The part that hadn't forgiven her. The part that probably never would. The appointment took 2 hours. EKG. Blood draw for genetic panel. Echocardiogram. Interview with the cardiologist, a calm and precise man named Dr. Paul Whitfield. Dr. Whitfield explained the process to Dale in detail. The genetic test results would take 5 to 7 business days. The EKG and echo were preliminary. They could indicate certain markers but weren't conclusive. He would call Dale directly with results. Celeste sat in the corner during most of this. She answered the cardiologist's questions when asked, calmly, clinically, like she was presenting to her own board of directors. But she watched Lily. The whole time. Every time Lily made a face during the EKG. Every time Lily asked Dale a question. Every time Dale made Lily laugh to distract her. Celeste watched. And said nothing. When it was over, Lily did get a sticker. A purple unicorn. She put it on her jacket immediately. In the hallway outside the suite, Dale turned to Celeste. "We'll wait for the results," he said. "That's all. Anything else can wait." "Of course," she said. Lily tugged Dale's hand. "Daddy, can we get the soup from the cafeteria? The good kind with the little stars." "Yeah, bug. Yeah, we can." He started to walk away. Then Lily turned around and looked at Celeste. "Do you want soup too?" she asked. The hallway seemed to hold its breath. Celeste looked at Dale. Dale looked at his shoes. "Sure," she said finally. "That sounds nice." And so the 3 of them, this fractured, impossible, unfinished family, went to eat star-shaped pasta soup in a children's hospital cafeteria. And nobody said a word about anything that mattered. Which was, in its own way, the most honest thing they'd done in 15 years. The week that followed was one of the strangest of Dale's life. And his life had contained some strange weeks. Celeste did not go back to Boston. She didn't come to the house either. She stayed at the Ridgefield Inn and sent 1 text per day. Always the same 3 words. "Any news yet?" Dale always replied the same way. "Not yet." On Wednesday, something unexpected happened. Dale was picking Lily up from school when Lily's teacher, Mrs. Abernathy, pulled him aside. "Mr. Harmon," she said, "Lily's been distracted this week. Is everything okay at home?" Dale had almost said yes automatically. His standard answer. "We're fine, thank you." The answer he'd given teachers and neighbors and co-workers for 7 years. But he stopped himself. "We have a family situation," he said carefully. Mrs. Abernathy nodded with the kind of patience that only elementary school teachers possess. "Is there anything we can do to support her?" "Just keep an eye on her," he said. "She's a tough kid. But sometimes tough kids need extra check-ins." "Of course," Mrs. Abernathy said. On Thursday, Celeste texted something different. "Not any news yet?" Instead, "I know this isn't the time, but I'd like to talk. Not about the medical situation. About everything else. When you're ready. If you're ever ready." Dale stared at the message for a long time. Typed 3 different responses. Deleted all of them. Finally sent. Not yet. Which was technically the same answer as always. But they both knew it meant something different this time. On Friday evening, Dale was sitting on the front steps while Lily rode her bike on the sidewalk, when a car he didn't recognize pulled up in front of the house. It was a rental. Celeste got out. She stood on the sidewalk. She was looking at Lily. Lily spotted her and waved. Because Lily waved at everyone. Because Lily was the kind of child who had not yet been taught to hedge her warmth. Celeste waved back. Then looked at Dale. "I'm sorry," she called from the sidewalk. "I was just driving. I didn't mean to." "Sit down," he said. She blinked. "What?" He gestured to the step beside him. "I said sit down, Celeste." She walked up the path slowly, like the steps were a minefield. Sat down beside him. They both watched Lily loop the driveway on her purple bike. "She learned to ride without the training wheels in one afternoon," Dale said. Celeste looked at him. "She fell 6 times, he continued. Each time she looked up at me before she cried. Like she was checking if it was okay to react. I told her she could cry. She said no. Got back on the bike. 7th time, she rode to the end of the block and back." Celeste was quiet. "She sounds like," she stopped. "Like you." Dale said. "A beat." "I was going to say brave," Celeste said. Dale looked at her sideways. "She is brave," he said. "She's also kind and weird and funny and stubborn, and she talks in her sleep. She told me she wants to be a marine biologist or a chef. She hasn't decided." He paused. "She's everything." Celeste's eyes were wet. She didn't blink. Wouldn't let herself. "I know," she said quietly. "You don't know," Dale said. "Not cruelly. Just honestly. That's the part one need you to understand. You don't know yet. You're just starting to." They sat in silence, watching Lily ride her bike in the fading October light. Then Dale said, "Why did you really leave?" Celeste closed her eyes. "Dale. You owe me that," he said. "Whatever else you do or don't owe me, you owe me that." She opened her eyes. "I was terrified," she said. "Terrified of what?" "Of being my mother," she said. Dale turned to look at her fully now. "My mother gave up everything," Celeste said. "Her career. Her friendships. Her independence. She poured herself into her children and then spent the rest of her life resenting it quietly. She loved us. I know she loved us. But she was miserable. And I watched that my whole childhood. So when Lily was born..." She swallowed. "I looked at her and I felt this enormous love. This terrifying love. And I also felt this panic. This voice that said, if you stay, this is who you become. You lose yourself. You become small." Dale was very still. "And you thought," he said slowly, "that leaving your newborn was the braver choice." "I thought it was the only choice that let me survive," she said. "Celeste." His voice was controlled. Careful. "I understand being scared. I understand not knowing who you're going to be as a parent. I didn't know either. I was 23 years old and my hands were shaking for the first 2 weeks. But Lily was there. She was real. She needed us. And you chose yourself so completely that you erased her." "I know," Celeste said. "You can't explain that away." "I know. You can be sorry and I can understand the reason, and it still doesn't fix it." "I know, Dale." Lily rode past and waved at them again. Both of them waved back automatically. "I'm not asking you to fix it," Celeste said. "I'm not sure it can be fixed. I just needed you to know why. Because you deserved to know why. And because..." She paused. Because if Lily ever asks me someday, I want to be able to answer her honestly. Dale absorbed that. Do you think she will? He asked. Ask. Yeah, Celeste said softly. I think she will. They sat together as the sky went dark. And Lily finally came inside for dinner. And for one ordinary evening, the thing between them felt less like a wound, and more like something that might one day be a scar. The call came on a Tuesday, 8 days after the appointment. Dale was on the freight dock. His phone buzzed in his breast pocket. Pittsburgh area code. He stepped away from the dock, into the cold. This is Dale Harmon. Mr. Harmon, this is Dr. Whitfield at Children's Hospital. Dale's grip tightened on the phone. I have Lily's results. Dr. Whitfield was calm and thorough. He explained the findings methodically. The genetic panel had confirmed that Lily carried one copy of the mutation. One copy, not two. Which meant she carried the gene, but her risk profile was significantly lower than a full expression. In practical terms, Dr. Whitfield said, Lily will need annual cardiology monitoring for the rest of her life. We'll prescribe a very low-dose beta blocker to keep her heart rhythm stable. She can live a completely normal life. She can play sports, she can run, she can do everything other children do. She is not in immediate danger. Dale leaned against the side of the building. His legs had gone a little soft. But she's okay, he said. She is okay, Dr. Whitfield confirmed. You caught this early. That's the best possible outcome. Thank you, Dale managed. Of course. My office will reach out to schedule her first annual follow-up. Dale hung up. He stood in the cold for a while. Breathing. Just breathing. Then he called Celeste. She answered before the first ring had fully sounded. Dale. She's okay, he said. Silence on the line. Then a sound he wasn't prepared for. Celeste Pruitt, CEO of Pruitt Capital Group. $4 billion in managed assets. Forbes Women Who Reshape Finance. Cried. Not elegantly. The ugly, uncontrolled kind of crying that only happens when you've been holding something in for a very, very long time. Dale listened. He didn't say anything. He just stayed on the line. After a while, Celeste got herself together. I'm sorry, she said. Don't be, he said. Dale. Yeah. I don't know how to thank you. He thought about that for a moment. You don't have to thank me, he said finally. She's your daughter too. Even if you didn't act like it. She's still yours. And I wasn't going to let something happen to her because I couldn't be in the same room as you. She was quiet. That's not a small thing, she said. No, he agreed. It's not. What happens now? She asked. That, Dale said, is the question, isn't it? That night, Celeste came to the house. Dale had texted her after Lily was asleep. She's in bed. Come at 9 if you want to talk. She came at 9. She left the rental running. Like she wasn't sure she'd be allowed to stay. Dale opened the door before she knocked. He had coffee. 2 cups. He didn't ask how she took it. He remembered. Black. No sugar. Same as always. They sat at the kitchen table. The same table where he'd found the routing number in the envelope. 15 years ago. He wondered if she knew that. You said the portfolio was about a financial matter, he said. It was, she said. It still is. Tell me. Celeste wrapped her hands around the coffee cup. When I left, I put $15,000 in that account. For Lily. I know. You never touched it. I know. That money, she said, has been sitting for 15 years. With interest, it's now. She paused. Close to $38,000. Dale looked at her. What about it? I want to move it, she said. Into an education fund for Lily. Locked, in her name, accessible at 18. With a trustee of your choosing, so I have no control over it. Dale was quiet. And Celeste looked up. And what? That's not enough to fly from Boston and show up on someone's porch, he said. What else? She exhaled. You're right, she said. She opened the portfolio. This time, she laid 3 documents on the table. He looked at them carefully. The first was the education fund transfer document. The second was a legal filing, a parental rights modification. She was requesting, through the courts, to be formally acknowledged as Lily's biological parent. Not to take custody. Not to override his authority. Just to exist on paper. To have a legal name attached to Lily's life that wasn't just absent mother. The third document was harder to explain. Dale picked it up. Read through it slowly. His face didn't change, but his breathing did. It was a trust document. In Lily's name. For the sum of $4.2 million. Disbursable in stages, at 18, 25, and 30. With one condition attached. That the beneficiary's father, Dale Arthur Harmon, receive a lump sum of $250,000 immediately upon signing, in recognition of 15 years of sole parental provision. Dale set the document down. Looked at the table. Looked at the wall. You're serious, he said. Yes. This is real. My attorney drafted it last month. It's executable. Dale pushed back from the table. Stood up. Walked to the window. Stood with his back to her. You came here, he said, voice low. With a portfolio. And a legal filing. And a trust. And you called it a debt. I owe you 15 years, Dale, she said. You can't buy 15 years. I know that. You can't write a check for the 2 a.m. feedings, he said. I know. Or for the year she had strep 3 times in a row. Or for the Christmas I couldn't get her the bike she wanted and told her Santa had supply chain issues. Or for every school drop-off and every nightmare and every lost tooth and every... His voice cracked. Just slightly. Just once. He stopped. You can't buy any of that, he said. No, Celeste said. I can't. I know I can't. But I can make sure that the things you sacrificed, your savings, your career ceiling, your 30s, I can make sure they weren't the only cost. I can make sure Lily's future is secure. And I can make sure you know that I understand what those 15 years were worth. Dale turned around. His eyes were red. But his voice was steady. And the parental rights modification, he said. What happens if I say no? Celeste met his eyes. Nothing, she said. I won't fight you. I won't petition the court without your agreement. If you say no, I'll go back to Boston. I'll maintain Lily's medical monitoring from a distance. I'll make sure the education fund is transferred regardless. And I'll leave you alone. And if I say yes... She looked at her coffee cup. Then I would like, if you'd allow it, to try to know her. Not replace what you've built. Not confuse her or disrupt her life. Just be someone she can call if she wants. Someone she knows the truth about. Silence. The refrigerator hummed. Down the hall, Lily made a small sound in her sleep, the way she sometimes did, like she was narrating a dream. She already asked about you, Dale said. Celeste went very still. When? 6 months ago. Out of nowhere, at breakfast. She asked why she didn't have a mom. I told her that some families have 2 parents and some have 1 and all of them are real. She said that made sense. Then she asked if her mom was alive. Celeste pressed her hand to her mouth. What did you say? She whispered. I said yes. And she said, okay. And she asked for more orange juice. And that was that. But she'll ask again, he said. She's going to ask again and again, and the questions are going to get harder. And I don't want to be the one who lied to her by omission for her whole life. I don't want her to be 25 and find out the truth and feel like I protected her into a corner. He sat back down, picked up the parental rights document, looked at it one more time. I'm not signing anything tonight, he said. I know. I need 2 weeks. Take them. And if I agree to any of this, it happens on my terms. My timeline. My rules about how and when you're in her life. Yes. And if you ever disappear again. If you cancel on her. If you make her a promise you don't keep. If you make her feel like she isn't enough for you to show up for. I won't, Celeste said. You did it once. I know, she said. I know I did. And I can't undo it. But I am not the same person I was at 23. And I am not asking for forgiveness, Dale. I'm asking for a chance. For her. The kitchen was very quiet. Outside, the October wind moved through the trees. Go back to the inn, he said. Okay. I'll call you in 2 weeks. She stood up, buttoned her coat, walked to the door, paused with her hand on the knob. For what it's worth, she said without turning around. You are a remarkable father, Dale. She's lucky. I think I knew you would be. I think that might have been part of why I left. She opened the door and was gone. Dale sat at the kitchen table until midnight. And then he went and stood in Lily's doorway and watched his daughter sleep. Star-shaped pasta. A purple unicorn sticker. A heart that needed watching but wouldn't stop beating. He already knew what he was going to decide. He'd known since the hospital cafeteria. He just needed the 2 weeks to get there without breaking. Dale did not wait 2 weeks. He waited 12 days. Because on day 12, Lily came home from school with a drawing she'd made in art class. It's our family, she announced, spreading it on the kitchen table. Dale looked at it. 3 figures. The tallest one was labeled Daddy. The smallest was labeled me. And the third figure, standing a little apart from the other 2, slightly smaller than Daddy, was labeled simply. Dale looked at his daughter. Who's this? He asked carefully, pointing to the third figure. Lily shrugged with elaborate casualness. I don't know yet, she said. Then she got her snack from the fridge and wandered to the living room like she hadn't just cracked her father's heart open. He called Celeste that night. Can you come to the house Saturday morning? He said. A pause on her end. Yes. Lily knows something is different, he said. She doesn't know what yet. But she knows. She drew it. Dale. Saturday, he said. Bring coffee. The good kind. She laughed. The first time he'd heard her laugh in 15 years. It sounded the same. Saturday morning. 9 a.m. Celeste knocked on the door with 2 cups from the coffee place on 5th. Dale let her in. Lily was at the kitchen table finishing a puzzle. Dale sat Lily down. Celeste sat across from her. Dale sat between them. Bug, he said. I need to tell you something important. And it might feel like a lot. But I want you to know that no matter what, our home doesn't change. Our family doesn't change. You and me, that stays the same. Lily looked at him with those brown eyes. Then at Celeste. Then back at him. Is she my mom? She asked. Children. They always know. Yeah, Dale said. She is. Lily looked at Celeste for a very long time. The way she'd looked at her that first day in the hospital. Frank and fearless. Why didn't you come before? Lily asked. Celeste didn't flinch. Didn't look at Dale for rescue. She looked straight at Lily. Because I was scared, she said. And I made a bad choice because I was scared. And your dad. She glanced at Dale. Your dad was brave enough for both of us. Which is why you have him. Lily considered this. My friend Abby's parents are divorced, she said. She has 2 houses. Is that what this is? Not exactly, Dale said. You still live here. This is your home. Celeste would like to get to know you. If you want. Lily looked at Celeste again. Do you like marine biology? Celeste blinked. She paused. I don't know much about it. I could teach you, Lily offered. Celeste smiled. And this time, it reached her eyes. I would really like that, she said. Lily thought for one more moment. Then she slid off her chair, walked around the table, and climbed up next to Celeste. Okay, she said. You can help me with my puzzle then. Dale looked at the 2 of them. The woman he had loved and lost and never quite gotten over. The daughter he had built his whole life around. Sitting side by side. Fitting together like puzzle pieces that had been in different boxes for too long. He got up quietly. Poured himself some coffee. Let them be. Some things take exactly as long as they take. And not a moment less. 1 year later. Lily Harmon turned 8 in November. Her party was small and loud and ended with cake on the ceiling from an overzealous candle blow. Celeste was there. She brought a book about the deepest parts of the ocean. Lily declared it the best gift she'd ever received. She was not being polite. She had already read the first 40 pages by bedtime. Dale signed the parental rights modification in January. He did not sign for the money. He amended that section of the trust so that Celeste's contribution went entirely to Lily's education fund and future account. His name wasn't on any of it. He didn't want it. Celeste accepted that. Without argument. Without negotiation. She accepted it the way a person accepts something they know they have no right to dispute. They were not together. Let that be clear. What was broken between them was not rebuilt into a romance. Some things, when they break, don't go back to the shape they were. They go into something new. What they became was complicated, careful, sometimes warm, sometimes still raw around the edges, but functional, real. Built around a 7-year-old, now 8-year-old girl who deserved to know all of who she was. Celeste flew in from Boston once a month. Sometimes twice. She and Lily video called on Sundays. She learned a remarkable amount about anglerfish and bioluminescence. She sat through 2 soccer games and cheered so hard at the second one that Dale had to tell her to calm down. She was learning how to be present. Slowly. Imperfectly. The same way most of us learn the things that matter most. Dale was still Dale. He still worked freight. Still packed peanut butter sandwiches, no jelly. Still fell asleep on the couch in his socks on Tuesday nights. But something had shifted in him. Not fixed. Not resolved. Just loosened. Like a knot that had been pulled so tight for so long that he'd forgotten it was there. And someone, even someone who had no right to help, had finally found the end of the rope. He thought sometimes about what his mother had said. Do it for Lily. Not for her. For Lily. He had done it for Lily. But somewhere in the process, he had also done it for himself. For the part of him that was tired of carrying 15 years of anger alone. For the part of him that wanted Lily to grow up watching her father choose grace. Even when he had every reason not to. The debt that Celeste Pruitt had carried for 15 years was not paid. It couldn't be paid. Some debts aren't about money. They aren't about legal documents or trust funds or parental rights modifications. They are about time. And time cannot be returned. But sometimes, if you are very lucky, and very honest, and you knock on the right door, time can be added to, carefully. With both hands. And no guarantees. Lily Harmon was 8 years old. She wanted to be a marine biologist or a chef. She had her father's eyes and her mother's stubborn, brilliant, frightened, reaching heart. She had annual cardiology appointments and a purple unicorn sticker she'd replaced twice because the original wore out. She had a father who had given everything. And a mother who was learning, slowly, imperfectly, for real, what giving everything actually meant. That is their story. And it is not over. Not even close. If this story moved you, if you felt Dale's quiet strength, or Lily's fearless honesty, or even Celeste's complicated, hard-won journey back to something real, then you are exactly who Crest Stories is made for. Hit that like button if you stayed till the end. Subscribe to Crest Stories so you never miss another one of these. Leave a comment below. I want to know. Were you Team Dale from the beginning? Or did Celeste earn a little of your respect by the end? New stories drop every week. And we are just getting started. Until next time. Keep listening. Keep feeling. And remember, the most powerful stories are always the ones that are true enough to hurt.